Hello everyone, welcome back to the RedSeaPodcast. Been a few days. Uh, I know that even scheduling messes up the days a bit sometimes, and I've been non-streaming for more than 4 days sometimes, but that usually, of course, doesn't happen within seasons. And of course, as you all always do, you showed me some great understanding as always because I needed few days off because of life in general. And every time I get the pleasure and the honor to come on here and talk about the team I love so much, I want to give you all the best that I can. And given how the last few days haven't been amazing, I wanted to make sure that that happened. And you all, as always, understood massively. And I honestly can't put my appreciation into enough words. And scheduling should be back to normal. There is the FMD coming up, of course, but basketball shows will be back like normal on the 10th and the 14th of the month with our first two home games of the EuroLeague. I won't focus too much on the EuroLeague games that pass because I am planning to make these recap shows solely weekend focused, as in the title, of course, and as in everywhere. But up from now on, not up to now, from now on, everything should roll as normally as possible. God help. So once again, I wanted to start the show off with a true thank you because uh, you all have seen I've been very open about how these past few months even have been quite tough, and you all have understood always with no exceptions. So whether you know what's going on or whether you just want to support me and my efforts unconditionally, I thank you. I truly, truly thank you. Now, before we begin with the full weekend that we have to catch up on once again, I do remind you that if you like what you see, of course, in the about here, if you're new, go check out the backlog of the channel. There is vlogs, interviews, of course. This is out and out episode wise. This is episode 108. There are some scouting reports that I started doing this summer, which of course are as unprofessional and chaotic as this show is in general, but that's the beauty of it. Uh, through the interviews, you'll find new creators that you may like. You find, for example, for the boys over at Thrylos 7, for the boys from Hellas Football, which you should definitely go vote for in the Football Content Awards, by the way. Uh, you'll find some new stories that you've never heard of before. And of course, as I said, the vlogs are the most supported videos on this channel, and the views are just in the thousands. And again, I can't express my gratitude enough. And if you like what you see in everything, and of course, with keeping in your mind that the best has yet to come, because I am always aiming to constantly improve on the stuff I'm already making and bring new stuff at that. Uh, Please subscribe, follow the channel, and as soon as you go down here, you can go right up here, right here in the QR code. Scan that. It should bring you to the link tree of the show where you'll find the Twitter, you'll find the Instagram, you'll find the Spotify, you'll find the TikTok, you'll find the YouTube, where you'll see constant information being posted, constant interaction. You can message me, you can drop comments on whatever you want, and so on and so forth, of course. And of course, clips from the shows, some highlights if I get a chance to post them. As I said last show as well, I've been doing my best to cover the RSeDefni games this season as well and to not miss anything. Same for the Academy games. So I've been doing my best to keep up with that as well, which I'm hoping you all like equally. And in general, stuff that is coming, stuff that is being made on the daily, and a lot of backstage work because it's the least I can do for all the support you will give me. So yeah, moving off the shameless promo and moving right into the games. And we have to we have to start with this. It has been posted over on Instagram. If you go to the Instagram profile of the song on the Reels, I did post that goddamn beautiful goal because as much as the football didn't go well for Olympiacos this weekend with the under 19s falling to Paok 1-0, the B team falling to Kalamata 1-4, and of course the main game which we will get into probably last because it has the most to say is the men's team falling to Paok 2-1. But perhaps the most beautiful thing that came from this weekend that came to our eyes is that Valbuena gone. But here Valbuena is 41, still proving his class, this time by scoring one of the smoothest and perhaps most effortless free kick goals I've seen in a minute. Again, for those of you that want to go check it out, it's in the shorts here on the channel. It's on TikTok and it's on Instagram. And yeah, just wowing us once again. And I am gonna double down on what I wrote on the caption and say that it's it's a must for Valbuena to get a couple of minutes with the men's team. Right? It's a must for him to get both a proper goodbye when time comes. It's a must for him to get a chance to play with some of the younger guys from the men's team as well, which I'm sure he is already a great mentor too. And it's honestly a chance for us to see him and his class again. And who knows, perhaps he can dink one in against Panathinaikos or something and give us a much needed winner later on in the season. Of course, it's not the end of the world for the B team, as this is just the first loss for the season. Kalamata, of course, being the promotion favorites from this group, with Calithea following, then it's Panionios, then it's newly promoted Marco, and then it's Olympiacos B or Olympiacos under 23, call it whatever you want. But yeah, with this being just the first loss, Olympiacos B now stands with 2 wins, a draw, and a loss on the record, and still showing a lot of positives, giving a lot of needed time to some players, giving some much needed opportunities for some players to not only find the the veteran help quote unquote, right, that they need with Valbuena and Schiomas, but to get some constant playtime against teams that honestly maybe even belong in the first division. Also, excuse me for seemingly fighting for my life then for those of you that are watching the video, but I was trying to get my laptop to not close down from battery. So yeah, it's It's a whole new B team. It's a B team run correct with a very promising coach that's playing a very important role in a lot of the players' upbringing. Let's say we're seeing a lot of our youngsters keep signing and be ready for the B team, from the B team to the A team at any point. Of course, Lermonidis played with the B team as well for this weekend, and the Kouras plays for the B team. Uh, and it's just an endless list, right? And honestly, in that endless list, you can see players that can jump immediately to the 18, whether it's talents like Eric Hamza, whether it's Zain Selkod, Zain Silkot, Dubery, which I need to learn this kid's name because Christ. Uh, Agelakis, of course, who is currently out injured. It's Alafakis, of course. Petros Kolokotronis, the 17-year-old. Koutsidis, Koutsogoulas, Nikos Gotsamanidis, of course, who is one of the most promising to come back from loan from, of course, the relegated Lamia last season. It's names which you can just look at the list and say, yeah, most of these kids have at least a chance to get a future here. And it's what I talked about a few days ago as well. It's nothing like last time we saw Olympiacos being action, which was treated like a trash can for players that the coach didn't want. It's a step before the men's team, but it's a step sturdy enough to be able to boost players into the men's team. And again, focusing on the veteran help from this man right here, from Siovas, it's it's a blessing to see this club run something so well, especially at a time where a whole generation of players is set to come up and they need game time. And it's also a chance to keep a closer eye on players and not just send them off on loan wherever. But yeah, bad result, but an amazing, amazing goal and a chance to focus a bit on beating as well. Now, switching sports for a second, and at least basketball went completely the opposite of football. And in basketball, we saw two wins. The women's side demolished Proteas Ulas 56 to 81 to open their season off with a win as needed and as must, with some very, very good stats all around, 65% from the two, up solid 26% from the three, considering the general field goal percentage was 52, with 40 rebounds to 26, and spending all of the game leading, right? And yeah, honestly, what's there to say for the girls in not just the basketball department, but in every department, even in football now, which the season is set to begin very soon as well, and that will be something to keep an eye out for, undoubtedly, right? And it's just, I'll use the word I used again. It's a blessing to be able to support and cover a club that has positives to talk about every single department and trophies coming in seemingly weekly at some points with the run of Super Cups, for example, that we just had. And even in the bad times for a department, you can not necessarily avoid focus, you can cover off news with basketball, for example, and football that should on two opposite sides this weekend. But you can sit back and not only enjoy the positives from other departments, but sit back with a calmer mind and realize that, yeah, you can criticize the department, you can question stuff as we will in a bit, right? But deep down, you know that in every single department, this team will figure it out and come out on top in the end somehow. So the least we can do as fans, but the best we can do as fans is, yeah, of course, bring up issues we see, but not just completely destroy everything, right? Trust in the team, trust in the players, trust in the coaches, especially Mendilibar, for example, Barajoka, who have made us proud many times and will continue to do so. So yeah, it's it's fun. It's honestly a blessing. And because I don't want to skip over anything, as I said, before I get into the men's side victory over Marusi, I want to congratulate the girls over at the water polo department as well for beating Guglielmeni again. This time not for a trophy, but for one of the toughest season openers that we've seen in a hot minute and showing that they are here to conquer it all without a second goddamn thought. Now, getting into an interesting Greek Basket League opener, and not for any bad reason at that, right? As Olympiacos beat Marousi away 81 to 100, of course, as usual with some, if not most, of these games, uh, there were a lot of Panathinaikos fans in the Marousi stands, which we saw how quote unquote well that went, right? But yeah, cold victory as expected, good victory, much needed momentum boost after that Real Madrid game, heading into, of course, as mentioned, their first home games in the EuroLeague. And there are a few points that I would like to touch on, even though there isn't too much importance, perhaps, to put into a lot of these points. But I would like to bring up some positives when they are there. And one of the main positives that I would like to bring up is a positive we were specifically waiting for. At least I was waiting for a while, and that's the debut of Frank Vilikina. And God help me, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, right? The French guard that gave us a very promising debut. The French guard that gave us a debut that perhaps we were hoping for after a dry spell with a guard, especially speaking of the second unit guards, and a debut that leaves a lot to be desired for the future, with him, of course, dropping 12, having 3 rebounds, having 4 assists. Let me bring up a bit more detailed stats for a second. Of course, he played 20. He was 60 from the 2, he was 33% from the 3, which leaves him at 45% field goals in general. Of course, those 3 rebounds, 2 on the defensive, 1 on the offensive, 4 assists, and a plus minus of a very, very solid 9 for a debut in the Greek Basket League, right? We, I almost said we needed this. We did need this as a team. We do need a player like Virginia as a team, but we wanted this as well. We came off a lot of toxicity after that Madrid game, in which a lot of problems were brought up to the surface again. And given that Ligina came into the team with a lot of doubt, the fact that he stepped up, got the 20 minutes that he got, and kept showing positives on and off the ball is something that I think will translate over to the EuroLeague as well. That, of course, is a matter of time. You can never know nor judge from a game against Marussia. But the chemistry and the confidence already seems to be there. He seems ready. He seems very ready to take on the minutes that he needs to take on. He seems very ready to take on the role that he needs to take on. And honestly, I'm impressed. I had a lot of hope for this move, but we've seen how some moves that I had hoped for have gone like in the past. Yeah, I've been very wrong about some people. For those of you that have been following for a while, and especially in the socials, you know. But without me wanting to get too far ahead of myself, because especially in basketball, I'm very, very optimistic about players. Which again, as mentioned before, can bite me in the ass a lot of times, but sometimes I can prove a lot of people wrong. I'd say let's look at the player, look at what he can bring to the team with a bit more positive light than the initial thoughts in regards to the move were, right? Because if it wasn't for the player that I will mention right after, I feel like, knock on wood, because I don't want this to go like Luca Vildosa did when I mentioned this last season. I feel like this could be one of the surprises of the year, move wise, and especially with the low expectations that he came in. But we'll see how the year goes, of course. And speaking of surprises of the year, this man is acclimatizing himself. This man is not only acclimatizing himself, this man is getting better and better. My out and out MVP for the game, with no disrespect meant to Shasha, of course, but Shasha is who he is. Tyson Ward, game in, game out, more time as time goes on and more trust from Yorgos Barzokas. He seems even unbeatable at some stages. Of course, I'll run through his stats as well, even though I did post them on that MVP post. He played 17, scored 14 with 100%, both from the free throws and the field goal. He had 3 rebounds, same share as Likina, 2 on the defensive, 1 on the offensive. He had 3 assists and he had 2 steals to top that off with a plus minus of 18, which gave him the general MVP as well. But I don't think anyone had any doubts that definitely one of the most positive surprises, not only of the game, but of the season in general. And most definitely, for sure, someone to look forward to, because the more time he gets in his position as well, which let's not forget, he's not a power forward. Tyson Ward is not a shooting guard either. Tyson Ward is a small forward with a 3. He'll surprise more and more people. That I don't doubt that. I'm not even saying that with any form of hesitance. I feel like he'll surprise much more people than we all even think. And even though he did come in with expectations after the wonderful season he had with Paris PC last year, I feel like he'll not only live up to those, again, knock on wood, but I feel like he'll surpass those as well. And another not planned but incredible segue in speaking of surpassing expectations, Are there really any words? Are there really any words? Tyler Dorsey. Tyler Dorsey, who at the start of the season got MVP in the Super Cup. He said that he had a point to prove. He said that he never wants to be out of the squad for the Final Four again. He said that he wants to shut all the doubters up. And up to now, I feel like he has shut up all the people who support him as well. Because God damn, what a start to the season. And it's not only the EuroLeague. And with the trust that he has rightfully earned by Coach B, right? Because if anyone says that he didn't earn this goddamn trust, playing 20 as well, scoring 12, no free throws, 100% from the two, and 50 from the three. Tyler's 3-point ability. Of course, Tyler is a mentality player. We all know that. But I feel like the more he goes on consistently with not even okay, not even good, but these incredible performances and these game changing performances, I feel like he'll keep getting better and better. And I said it jokingly on Twitter, I think, that he may go for an MVP year out of absolutely nowhere at this rate. And there is nothing bad to say about Tyler this season. There isn't. There just is nothing bad to say about Tyler Dorsey this season. And along with the rest of the team gelling, and perhaps with a positive that we're not seen as favorites for anything this year, with a cold mind and patience to see how stuff goes, I feel like this team will make us very proud. I really do. I really feel like this team will make us very proud with the parameter that we support it equally, right? Like for the next two games, it's RHF, the stadium should be booming because the fans at CF need to set an example of their own as well. The fans at CF need to set an example that we are who we are for a reason, and we are one of the best, if not the best, handball in this content league. And we can prove that on and off the court. Of course, great performances by Alec Peters as well. Larajak is getting some deserved time. Larajak is helping as well. Kostas Antetokounmpo showing off his strengths as well. Milo as consistent as ever this season with the trust and the role of a starter. Papanikolaou also putting in a shift. Paok also putting in a solid shift. The only worrying, the only worrying factor, because it would be hypocritical for me to just go on and talk about positives and positives and not talk about the one weak link that this team is supposed to not have is Donta Hall. Uh, Hall, who came in with the goal to not only cover up our line of the bigs, but to cover up our athleticism problem, which he has. Right, Hall is very consistent. Hall rarely gets injured. He's an absolute beast, right? But he just needs that snap. He needs that snap because he needs to get his confidence back. And I know that all it takes for this man is a good game, which he can have, but he needs it and he needs it fast. On the other hand, though, Kostas Antetokounmpo has been rising in his confidence and playing to his strength. So we'll see how the hierarchy goes, but I'm confident that all three of our bigs will find their form, just like Milu did. Same for Costa Kubo and Donta Hall. Now, what's there to say about this game? What's there to say about this game? A game of two halves for the wrong reasons this time. A game that saved Razvan Lucescu's career because it was a public secret per se that if Razvan lost, he would have probably been at minimum under scrutiny, right? A game that resurrected Andrija Zivkovic, who has been having a horrific season, and a game that resurrected Paok in general, who hadn't won a game, hadn't even sniffed a win in 5 games, and shouldn't have even sniffed the win because the game was ours to take in the first half. In this game either. And there's the worrying. There's a lot of questions to be answered, and I'm sure that I'm not going to cover all of them. And there's a lot of doubts, and again, I'm sure I'm not going to cover all of them, so I am expecting you all in the comments to drop all of the thoughts that you want to drop. The main question is why. A lot of questions were raised from the lineup because aside from the necessary change of the injured Retros, the lineup was the same, the Arsenal game, which led to a lot of exhaustion and a midfield duo that never worked. So a lot of doubts were brought up even before the game began. A lot of doubts about some absences as well because we were expecting rotation. Rotation was reported. I personally, at least, was expecting to see Muzakitis start at the bare minimum, right? I was expecting to see more of Yusuf Yazici and Remy Kabela, who was nowhere. And I was expecting to see Lolo Scipioni as well, who barely got time against Arsenal. And again, nowhere in this game. But we started off amazingly. Wonderful build up. Pressure. Chance after chance after chance. And then the 22nd, after another incredible build up, Ayub El Kabi finds himself all alone, slots it over to Chiquinho, who rockets it to the back of the net, and we're up early. And perhaps it's overconfidence, but seeing us show up from the beginning of the game, I really thought that we would lock it down. I didn't think we'd cruise as much as I wanted to say that I wanted us to slap up Paok with 4. I never thought we'd cruise the game, right? But I thought the game would end like 1-2, 0-2, maybe. But no. Then we started dropping. A major point of the missed chances was the Potence run and the completely, it's been 34 minutes, the completely fucked up pass to Ayub El Kabi, because if that pass went through even remotely well, Ayub slots that in, the game's 2-0 and we're done. Right? Like there is no chance Paok comes back if we go 2 ahead. But that's, for me at least, speaking of chances and not personal mistakes and planning and subs, which we will get into eventually. Speaking of chances, that's what more or less went on to kill the game. That messed up pass by opponents to Ayub El-Kabi, and that failed chance to go to ahead. Now, another thing that basically just nailed the game was that Biancon forgot how to defend. Starting off with Anger and fouls against Yermatis, whether those were fouls, whether those were not, I'm not really gonna stand on that because Biancon lost his head either way, something that shouldn't happen in the game. In a game that was Biancon's main chance, right? With Rechos out, was main chance for Biancon to prove himself, per se. It was a main chance for Biancon to show why he's here, and he lost his head. And not you will know how much I love the player, but God, was it one of his worst performances with an Olympiacos kid. Then comes the pass that almost gave us all a heart attack. He wants to pass it, I think it's to Pirola or Costinha, one of the two. With a back pass, Yakmanis gets it, runs forward, gives it to Costadellas. Costadellas thankfully can't convert. Stay where we are. Then he gets a yellow for persistent fouling. And then we move. Then closer, of course, to the end of the half, Danny gets a yellow for an argument with Kijiora, who gets a yellow as well. And then the half ends. And we're expecting subs at halftime. Danny Garcia was nowhere in the game. Biancon had lost his head completely. Costinha also was basically nowhere in the game. Ortega for me was okay, but nowhere near to the standards that he has shown before Arsenal. It's been a bad run of games for him as well. And some subs were expected. Never came. Instead, we go to the second half and we see that Pavlenka is out with injury and Zexis comes in. And no disrespect to Paok's backup, but when a team is forced to sub on backup, it usually seems it usually means good. It usually means that you'd be more confident in your attacks. But not the case, apparently, because our halves flipped. And instead of performing even better in the second half, we completely lost the plot, which of course led to a Tyson goal to open it all up from a horrific mistake, from an absolutely horrific mistake by Francisco Ortega, but that goddamn slip. And then it only got worse. Of course, Rodriguez coming in at the 72nd minute, which was a needed sub because Garcia simply couldn't continue to play. And then we go to the penalty, where Biancon completely loses Costadellas, and then Costinha takes him out in the box. Clear as day. And it's 2-1. And then again, Biancon goes to clear it. Ball bonks Costinha, but there's no better way to say it. And then it's running and Costadellas scores it. Thankfully, it gets disallowed for an offensive foul on Julian Biancon, but that doesn't change much, in my opinion. And then at the death of the game, We almost concede another one as Zulatis has to run out to try and stop Yakumadis. Yakumadis beats him with again nothing on the goalkeeper who had to run miles out of his box, and the ball only just hits the post and goes out, and then the game ends. I don't know if there is a better definition of how the hell did we lose this. I don't know if there is a better definition of what changed from the first half to the second. And I don't know if there's a better definition of why was planning so goddamn bad. There's a lot of questions being raised, right? As I said, lineup, about the same. Some people that should have been subbed on that never did. Of course, with the main people being Capellan, Scipioni, but even Bruno, who hasn't gotten game time in what feels like forever. Maybe Kalogeropoulos, because of that being gone yellow. But why didn't the subs happen earlier? That's my main question. Why go with that exhausted 11 that due to the exhaustion, what started us as completely losing our midfield led to the defenders completely losing their head even more, which led to the mistakes that ended up as net goals to, at the end of the game, not even Solakis thinking straight, who, thank God for him being in the team in general. If you sub on Mouzakitis for an injured slash exhausted Dani Garcia, and then you bring on Medita Remy for Zelson at 77, and then a player that I don't know, it's weird in my head because I don't know if Mendy likes him or not at this point. Because I've preached this many times, since they're not in the European list, how is it the case that I know it's not Mendilibar's game out and out, but how is it the case that we don't see that much of Yazici and Demikabela? They're not the mold of Mendilibar's players, and that I get. But they need to see the field more, especially in games like this. I mean, for God's sake, Yazici with his first touch of the game almost got himself an assist for Ayub El Kabi with that header. I am not doubting Mendy's ability to lead this team because I'm sure that, especially after this God sent break, right, we'll be better off. And IL comes perhaps a disheveled IL now with Savas Pandelidis at the helm, comes at the best of times for us to play them, play our game, hopefully to smack them, because then we have AEK and Barcelona, and we need to show up to the AEK game, let alone the Barcelona game away, with more than our best. And I know that even last season the team took a while to show up, but we need. I'm not even gonna say that we need to start picking up results because yeah, duh. But we need to close out games that are ours because it's two rivals now that we've failed to shut out, and now we're third. And yeah, okay, it's not an insane difference, and it's not a difference that's impossible to turn, right? But chasing is chasing in a league. You never know what can happen. Of course, Ike hasn't played a derby yet. They have Paok and then us, if I'm not mistaken. Paok, as we've seen, can easily crumple in the season, but the momentum we gave them now is something to pay a mind to, and we need to rebound as soon as soon as the break ends. And we need to think about some lineup choices as well. But on the other hand, as I slowly want to close out as I'm getting up to an hour again, and it's something that sounds simple but isn't. We've seen what this squad can do, a squad that is filled with more depth than ever, a squad that is filled with more complementary play styles than ever, a squad that's filled with both veterans and youth, and we know what Mendilibar can do. We know what Mendilibar can undoubtedly do. Yeah, an old dog doesn't learn new tricks, okay. But we've seen Mendilibar lead this team not only to a goddamn Conference League title, but to a league and a cup as well. And there's no doubt in my mind that he'll do it again. But we need to trust him. I know it's a vocal minority, right? But you can't tell me that you don't trust. Indeed. You can't tell me that you don't trust these players to figure it out. It's just the questions that I mentioned earlier that need to be asked in aims to bring out the results that need to be brought out, right? I'm sure Mendy will figure it out. I'm more than sure that Mendy will figure it out. I'm sure that players will figure it out. Those who need to be benched will be benched. Those who need to play will play. And as a final thought, before I say goodbye to you all for the night and let you enjoy the rest of your cozy night, once again, for those of you that doubted how important Retsos is, not that Pirola played badly. If Pirola wasn't in the game, we'd have conceded more. Let's not lie to ourselves. But how, not only how unbreakable this partnership is, but especially how important Pirola is next to Retsos and how important Retsos is to Pirola. Because while Pirola is an incredible talented defender, there is no other centre back in the squad right now that can cover off even the minimal mistakes that he has in him. That's Retsos. Retsos is a leader. Retsos is the glue to our entire defense, and Retsos is irreplaceable. So hopefully the problem he has isn't big. And same for Yaremchuk who's coming back. Hopefully Rodinei, because Rodinei is trying his best to play both the IL and the Barcelona game. And hopefully he'll be back as well, as I was saying. And we head into the post-break run with full steam and a full squad. Because God knows it's needed and God knows Rodinei, Retsos and Yaremchuk are all missed. Thank you all for keeping me company all the way through. For those of you that are watching after, thank you all for your insane support because it's still unbelievable to me. I hope you all enjoy these recaps. That if I don't have the immediate time due to any circumstance to immediately cover post games on the weekends, I'll do this every time. And I'm aiming to bring you more. And to close off on a more wholesome note, even when times are tough as it gets, I hope that I bring you all some, and I'm getting myself emotional, I hope that I bring you all at least some comfort with these shows, let alone with the coverage of the team, right? As your support brings me. Because don't forget, as much as Olympiacos is the main focal point of this, we all go through our shit, and I'm a huge advocate for mental support and mental health, and for whatever is needed, find your person to talk to, believe in yourself, be proud of yourself, and as you all showed me, believe that your most insane dreams can happen even in the worst. Thank you isn't enough, but as always, see you soon.